Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Creative Cranium. We got a great show going tonight, and I can't wait to get started. Tonight, we're going to talk about anthologies, and we're going to meet some of the teammates from the Orange Cone gang. Can't wait to talk to them. Let's start bringing them out. First up, author and creator Blake Thomas Morgan. What's up, Blake?
Hey, how's it going? Happy to be here.
Yeah, good to see you, buddy. I'm glad to have you. I'm going to ask you some questions tonight. Let's start out with a brief one. What's your short story called, and how long is it in the book?
It's called The Warning, and it is a whopping 2 pages, which I found out was a lot harder to write. Just 2 pages, and I thought we'll talk about that later. But yeah, it's about Solomon Caw, who was a crow in the original Peter Pan novella, like before it was called Peter Pan. This is all from spinning out of Travis's mind that this plan he had. But he was like, he told me about the crow, and he was like, you can do whatever you want with him. But
I love it, man.
Just do it. So,
and
yeah.
I agree with you too, by the way, Blake. It's harder, I think, to get the point across in the shorter number of pages. That comes up a lot in anthologies, and it's something I struggle with.
Yeah, a very big shout out to people that do these all the time. The ability to create shorts like that and have them resonate and pay off, and like you got to be a good writer to do it.
So speaking of good writers, you see who else we got here tonight? Jon Westhoff.
Jon Westhoff.
Jon, so hey, real quick, man, welcome to the show. It's great to have you back. And what was your short story called here? And give us the quick elevator pitch.
Oh, I was waiting for the good writer to come on that you were announcing. But hey, I'm Jon Westhoff, publisher for Part-Time Comics. And my short story, I was invited to this, my first ever work for hire gig in 15 years of writing. I have to keep mentioning that. Thank you so much, Travis. I was chosen to write for Michael Darling, the youngest of the Darling brothers in the Neverland universe. And Travis basically said, I need a story for that. And I said, okay, well then let's pick the grossest monster we can find in the Cthulhu verse and see if we can pair them up and see what happens. I teamed up with Emily Reset on the awesome art, and Chuck Pino helped me with the plotting of the story. So it was great to collaborate.
Awesome. And what kind of tone is your story? Is it scary, funny?
Hopefully I wanted it to be, a little unnerving, like you don't know what's going to happen to old Michael Darling when he comes across a monster, at his age. But I think in the end, hopefully it has it's a little more of a head scratcher than a gore fest,
Nice. Well, I'm looking forward to it, and I can't wait to hear more about the stories. Speaking of head scratchers, one of my favorites, Davy Lee. What's up, buddy?
Hey guys, how you doing?
The Master of Benigno, congratulations on your other book coming out to the market this week, right?
Yeah, August 16th.
Congratulations. Congrats. So real quick, tell us about your short story and the elevator pitch for it.
All right. It's called The Gentleman's Guide to Madness and Manners. Follows the pirate Starkey. I wanted to stick with the same themes of the original Peter Pan and kidnap some children. He kidnaps some children, and he guides them through madness and manners in the cave of Azathoth.
Nice. Yeah. And by the way, you got teamed up with our boy Luis Santamarina, who we both love.
That's right. He came in.
I love his colors.
They're amazing. Yeah, he came in on 2 pages. I had another artist on 1 page and another artist on 4 pages. It was nuts, but we got it together.
Nice. Well, I look forward to checking that one out. Next, we're going to talk to another one of my pals here. It's my buddy Matt. What's going on, brother?
Hey, how you doing?
You're in Maryland right now, yeah?
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, how's things in Maryland?
Pretty good. Storms and thunderstorms and hot weather, but that's the normal summer in Maryland. So
yeah, we kind of neighbors, as I pointed out. So congrats to you, man. I see your name popping up left and right the last couple of weeks. You're in previews catalog for Dying Days, right?
Correct. That's in previews right now from Red 5 Comics. The second issue is currently in previews. Issue 1 should be in shops the last Wednesday of September. So
nice.
Yeah, plugging along on that.
Congrats. And your short story is going to be now in Cthulhu Invades Neverland. That's on Kickstarter right now. Can you tell us about your short story and kind of how you got the idea for it?
Sure. So my story is called A Boy in Green. I'm working with my creative partner, Noah Ray. I do a podcast with him.
Oh, sure.
We're both huge fans of the first season of True Detective. So we wanted to do that sort of police procedural. So we took Thomas Malone from the Lovecraft Red Hook story and he is investigating a series of crimes that involve a boy wearing green. So take your guesses of who that boy might be.
Man, this sounds terrific. I love the lineup of stories you got here, and we're going to delve a little bit more into it. And I want to hear all about making anthologies from this guy. He's the master of his craft. Mr. Travis Gibb, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, how are you? How are you? I'll tell you how you make anthologies. You drink a lot of these, and you just make it. That's it. That's it. That's as simple as that. It's not hard at all.
I thought you were going to say Duncan. I was there today. I thought of you.
Oh, thank you. No, I do start my day out at Duncan, and I do work from Duncan most of the time because I have ADD, and I have a 4-year-old who runs around. And every time he interrupts me because I have ADD, it takes me a long time to get back into work. So I go to Duncan and I can get distracted a little bit, but the coffee's not that good. So you just focus.
It's Duncan for the first 12 hours of the day. Stouts for the last 12. No sleep, sleep in between.
Some Pepsi in between. I like some Pepsi in between.
A twist.
1 to 5 is Pepsi time, and then after 5 is
always, dude.
So Travis, thanks for coming on the show, and I always appreciate it because you always have so much great knowledge to give us. So now you've got experience with anthologies before, and you have it planned out sort of like a Cthulhu verse. Yeah, would it be fair to say that?
Yeah. There's a Cthulhu Invades verse. Yes.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the whole schmear, and where do you see it going?
Yeah, so what I do that's different than other anthologies is I write a narrative. So there's a narrative that I write a through line through all the stories. So I'm like, here's a beginning, middle, and end. I present that, and then I assign characters to people. Like Blake said, hey, I got Crow. He got Solomon Crow. That was a character from the first Peter Pan. It's called I can't even remember the name of it right now. But it's a small novella that, like you said, that was from Peter Pan. And so everyone will get a character that they get to write from. And then it has to tell this beginning, middle, and end. So people can write things at different parts of the timeline. Oh, I'm going to write something here. I'm going to write something here. One of the clever ways that we've done that to allow things to have different art styles and different costumes and different things is based on how many backers we have is based on how many days the invasion was. So like the last one, Wonderland, was 847 days because we had 847 backers. Oz was 607 days, and whatever this ends up will be the days of the invasion. So it allows a lot of one of the greatest things about comics that young writers don't understand is you don't have to tell everything. People in comics, when you turn a page, someone will fill in that missing gaps of information. So you don't have to tell everything. You can skip ahead. You can skip around a little bit. It's what makes comics really cool. Comics have the best ability, in my opinion, of any storytelling medium to speed up or slow down. So you can add like 12 panels to a page and slow down what's going on, or you can have 1-page panels and go through the whole thing, whatever you want to do. It's a unique aspect. And even that on the page, if you have someone walking and you have them walk in a certain direction, loop around, people are going to follow that whole path, even though they're just reading those bubbles. It's one of the beauties of comics.
You're preaching to the choir, man. I love stuff like that. And it reminds me, there's a line by Scott McCloud. He says, and I'm going to mess it up now, but it's, space does for comics what time does for film. And that's like Travis was saying, when you start to have like the inventive and panels and stuff, you can hit different targets creatively. It's not even, it's not a movie. It's not a song. It's not a book. It's sequential art, right?
Exactly.
Well said, brother. Well said. So let's jump over to Blake. I want to hear some more about these stories. They sound terrific. So Blake, so you're tapped in for this new anthology. First off, did you have the story ahead of time? No. And then once you got the concept, what was your first step? Did you script it out? Did you do layouts? How did you make your story?
All right. So Travis is going to love this story. So the way it happened, we were on, I can't remember whose live stream. We were on somebody's live stream, or maybe I was on your live stream, one of your creator hangouts. I popped in. But I told a story about how I was talking to a publisher and was supposed to do a horror one shot, and it didn't happen. And it was a huge bummer. And like, and Travis was like, "You want to be in a comic? I'll put you in a comic." And he was like, "You're in Cthulhu now." And I was like, "Okay,
nice."
So then later, he tells me, he's like, "Hey, he sends me some information, talks to me about Solomon. He's like, this is what we're gonna do. You can put it wherever you want. You can do whatever you want, but this is this bird you're going to write about. And I was like, okay. And it's actually like a cool story about Peter like flies out a window. He's not Peter Pan yet. It's really cool. And he's the original novella, not my story, by the way. But he flies out of this window and forgets he flies to a park and forgets how to fly. So he can't get back home. And this bird, Solomon Caw, shows up, and he's kind of like watching out for him. And he tells Peter, he's like, you're not a bird and you're not a man. You're something in between, or you're in between two worlds is kind of what he says. And he says this to like an infant too, right? Which is kind of interesting.
Yes.
But he kind of like watches out. He's like this kind of watchful bird over Peter, and until Peter like grows up and things. So Travis gives me a deadline, and he's like, we need this fast. And of course I wait, and it was me one day, and he's like, are you going to give me a script, or do you just not want to do this thing? And I was like, okay. I was like, I'll get it to you by Friday. So it's Thursday night. I'm like, I've got an idea, right? But I'm having a real hard time keeping it. Like I'm drawing like the worst layouts you've ever seen, trying to strip stuff out, thinking about this opening scene of tranquility before stuff hits the fan.
Sure, man.
And I don't have time.
The terror of the blank page.
Yeah, I have to keep cutting stuff because it's just I don't have time in 2 pages.
Well, congrats, man, on getting your story in the book. I'm really looking forward to checking this out, man.
Yeah, I'm excited. But yeah, anyways, I fell asleep and woke up, and I had like a dream, and it like I figured it out. I shit you not. This actually happened. I passed out writing and trying to take notes. Woke up, had it all figured out, scripted it out. Had David Hazan read it because I was nervous, and David was like, dude, this is intense. And I was like, oh, sweet. And then I sent it to Travis, and Travis was like, all right, cool. And I was like, oh, I did it. Holy shit.
In your case, Blake, what would you describe your tone as?
It's very action oriented. It's really, really high. It's like a high paced breakneck car chase.
Oh, nice.
There's no cars in Neverland, and you'll and it's very, very minimal dialogue. I think there's a sound effect and then maybe 7 words, maybe.
Nice.
Yeah, it's fast. It's fast for 2 pages, and it's cool.
Nice. Okay, let's.
And the art. And side note though, shout out to Travis again, because Travis found the artist, and it, like in the art and the color, like set everything. Like he made my job so easy. Like honestly,
tell you what, yeah, let's talk about
that
that then, because I got that as some questions. So in your case, you met your artist for the first time when you were working on the project, Blake.
I didn't even meet him.
I don't think they talked.
Yeah. So Travis is your matchmaker, so to speak.
Yeah.
All right, that's cool. And did you guys converse directly, or you go through the editor, which is Travis in this case?
Yeah, I wrote the script, and then I wrote a really tight script too. Just because I had like a real solid vision, but at the end, I also said like to Travis and art, like, if you guys think you can make this look cooler, like I'm not rigid. Like, if you think of a better scene or transition. So I did put a note in, but yeah, like I just wrote a script and handed it off to Travis, and then like a month later, maybe or so, Travis sends me a message of two inked pages, and I got to experience that feeling of like seeing something you wrote be turned into something visual, and that you guys talk about all the time, like waking up to those kinds of emails. And I got to experience that, and it was very, very cool.
Awesome, man. Congrats, buddy. That's terrific.
Thank you so much.
So let's move over to Jon. So Jon, hey, you're working with Travis for the first time, right? And you're going to be making a book here that's a Cthulhu anthology. So you said that was your first time work for hire?
This is my first work for hire gig. I did a fill-in lettering gig, not for hire, but because the company needed it done quick, and that's about it for me. I mean, I don't advertise or aggressively search out for those things, but it's very nice for someone to literally, in Travis's case, as I've told him before, pick up the phone and say, "Can I talk to you about something?" and say, "Hey, I thought of you."
He was probably so blown away by Drumsticks of Doom.
I made the joke to him before that he literally got to the end of his list and was like, "Fuck, this is all I got left." I got to call Jon. Somebody else messed up. Jon's got to clean it up.
Perfect. And how about for your story? Did you already have one in mind? First of all, did you already have a story in mind? And then what was your first step? What was the first thing you did?
I did not have a story in mind. I am very much a Lovecraft novice. I've read very little, The King in Yellow and maybe like one or two other shorts. And I would not consider myself to like Lovecraft. I wouldn't, seek out his work. And I don't know anything about really Neverland outside of the Disney movies. So if Travis had done his research, he would know that was probably the last person he should have asked for that. But that's okay. You know what? Hopefully it doesn't show on the page, because he gave me the character. He said, this is the character we need. We have a list of ones that need to appear in the book. This is what we have available. The previous writer is unable to do so. Would you be interested? And he said Michael Darling, and for some reason that was intriguing to me. And I said, okay, how do we make this work in the Cthulhu world? Now, thankfully, he had somebody else in the wings again that wasn't able to fulfill his duties, and that was a mutual friend, Chuck Pino. And I said, you know what? I'm going to reach out to him, because I know he had an idea already. He hasn't been able to do it, but if he can give me kind of a seed and we can talk something out, I think that would be better for me. And boy, did Chuck deliver on that. I mean, he had a good idea for what he thought Michael should do in this world where, Cthulhu is invading. And that really helped me. That the story just clicked right then. I was able to write all 6 pages in one day, get it over to Chuck, get it to Travis, have him approve it, and then Emily picked it up from there. We've talked a few times in the process about some changes she wanted to make or some clarification, and it really came together, I felt like, pretty well. So that was kind of the whole process. Really went quick, and part of it was that excitement of, hey, somebody thought of me. I'm writing something for somebody else's book, and it just kind of really energized me at that moment.
Yeah, there's a certain there's a kind of energy that takes place when you have a quality team like this. So congratulations to everybody, I would say. So let's jump over to Davy. I want to ask you the same question. So you worked with Travis before or first time?
No, this is the second book that I'm in with Orange Cone.
You would tell us a little bit, refresh our memories, as it were. What was the other one you did?
So I did Invade
Red Queen
Wonderland.
Or something?
Red Queen. Yeah. That's right.
I kind of remember that one too. And so for this one, how did you get the idea? And what was the first step? Do you make a script? Do you get some layouts? How do you make your scripts?
I mean, just sort of surface level stuff, like Gentleman Starkey is my character. And so just placing him in this Neverland world and thinking about Azathoth with the H.P. Lovecraft mix is, what if the gentleman who is very proper in the books, and I'm a big fan of J.M. Barrie, so it was an honor to work on this title. What if he was struck in by madness and was mind controlled by Azathoth, and all his dreams became, splinters of each other? And so what I decided was just sort of a romp, almost kind of a dark comedic romp where he kidnaps some of the lost boys and tries to re-educate them with manners and
oh wow, that sounds
consequently
cool. And how would you describe the tone on your story?
Yeah, I would say dark, and then with some hints of comedic little. I always love comics because you're able to do a good setup of the description and punchline or whatnot. I'm probably messing that up. The setup. What's the 3 acts of a joke? Set up, something, punchline.
I'm not sure. That's one thing skill that I don't have. I'm not the stand-up comic necessarily.
Yeah, me neither.
But congratulations, man, on getting in the book. I look forward to checking out that story.
Yeah, I'm very excited for it.
So, Matt, now your work I'm familiar with a little bit, right? We met a year ago, or maybe 2 years ago, I guess it was, at Baltimore, and I've had the privilege of reading through some of your stuff. I like a lot of it, including the Not Dying Days, the heavy metal.
Metal Eagle,
Metal Eagle, yeah,
the CIA band.
Yeah. By the way, John, you'd like that one too. I was going to say that's a Westhoff book.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your story for Cthulhu Invades Neverland, and what was your first step? Like, how do you start? Do you do layouts? Do you write a script? How do you make your story?
So this one was pretty unique. I was in the previous one, the Wonderland, and through that, got the invitation to be in this, and I was bouncing ideas off of the artist Noah. And again, we started talking about our mutual love for the first season of True Detective. So we wanted to do that sort of police procedural. And I had submitted a story, and it didn't quite work. And I actually had
What do you mean
call.
by didn't quite work? Tell us more about that.
I kind of had the kernel of the idea, and I just didn't execute it like fully. So I had a call with Travis, and Travis talked about these various stories that involve Pan, that, you know, when Pan was doing like these really evil things, and I was able to take an aspect of one of those stories and fold it into this. And I really like to play with the aspect of like, is this real? Is it not real? You know, every time you watch Law and Order, they have the person in the interrogation room, and they're saying all of these things, and they might sound crazy. They might have a kernel of truth. I was just really playing with that. So from there, we were able to sort of put everything together, and it just sort of worked. But again, it was that phone call, that FaceTime call with Travis, where we talked about some different things, and that just sort of put everything together. So it's pretty, pretty evil, pretty scary, which I like to play with there. So it was a lot of fun to do.
I'm really looking forward to it. And I want to say, Travis, before I move on to the next question here, you've assembled a killer team here. Well done.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really proud of our creative team. I'm proud of it every time, but even more so this time. I mean, we have people from top tier, from Cullen Bunn to Blake, who's never done a comic before.
Right.
Though Blake, again, 900 something views on his stuff, so he's doing something right. You and I can learn.
Hey man, Travis, it's genius. Hear from a marketing guy, because now I want to check it out because I know he's new. So I think it's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, we have some of the best artists, and it's such one of the coolest things about this Kickstarter is every year I write a list of the creators in it. It's like this big giant list, and watching people, and it's based off of my biases, of course, but like get people up and down the list, right? Someone who was at the top of my list from Oz is now middle of the list because I've grown up with other people. People have grown up with me. I've got people who are higher than me. I'm always adding people who are higher than the rest of us, like in success-wise. Not that they're better writers or anything. Success-wise, Cullen Bunn, you can't beat. He's literally written everything. He's a top tier. And adding them to lists and adjusting people, like use Davy. Davy Lee's had never written a comic before, and now he's now. It says writer at the Scout Comics.
He's dominating.
I put Scoot in print just for you, Travis.
Thank you. I appreciate that, because I don't want you to get cocky.
It's too late. We're all going to be
late.
wishing that we were nice to Davy Lee. I wish I wasn't mean to him all those times now.
Right. But having that and watching that flow is one of the coolest things about this project, is doing that, because it's no secret. I literally ask anybody who likes me. If you like me, I'll probably ask you to be in the book. If you don't like me, I'd probably still ask you, but I'm probably being a dick and giving you a bad character, like I'm doing it on purpose. No.
Well, let me ask you a couple of construction questions about the anthology, because I'm fascinated by this, and I think viewers might like it too. One thing that you do, you mentioned this a little bit earlier, and it's true. I saw it in your, because I have the other one too. The
right, sure. You can
holiday, holiday spirits.
Okay.
Yeah. And what it has is what I call a framing device. Like there's glue that holds all the stories together, which not all the anthologies do that, but yours do. The first off, why did you choose to do it that way?
I think that is one of my, if you take all my writing skills, that's actually one of my top skills that I have. I come from a role-playing background. For 20 something years, I ran werewolf, vampire, all these World of Darkness, White Wolf games, and I ran them in the LARP setting. And the goal of those, when you're a storyteller, is these people made backgrounds and stories for their character, and I have to make these all go together in whatever story I want to tell. So I have this unique skill of being able to do that. So when I look at that, a lot of people look at it and go, how do you do it? How do you make it so challenging? And figuring that. And then the other thing is I'm a student of comics. Like I study comics. You talk about comics. I study. So I know, just like I talked about earlier, that space and time. So just by adding that, Invasion Day 400, and the last one was like 300. I add that space of time. People go, lots of things can happen during that time. It's a storytelling tool and technique. It allows me to be able to do that. I'm in 3. I've read so many anthologies, even ones that I've got on Kickstarter that some of my best friends read it, some of the most talented people. And all it takes is one story that you don't like, whether it be because the art doesn't vibe.
They don't always click. They don't always click.
Or that writer just wasn't speaking to you, right? They're speaking to someone else. Not saying it's bad. It just wasn't speaking to you. I have many a times never finished that book. I put it aside and been like, I'm going to assume they're all like this. When you're doing a Cthulhu or a Holiday Spirits, I'm telling you a story. Well, you want to get to the end of the story. So you're more willing to forgive that to go to the next one because of that element. And I want to do that because you can't say one story is worse than the rest because it's all one story. We're telling one story. So you can't say that creator did a worse job because it's all one story. It's all bad or it's all good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for real. Yeah, well, the books came out great. And how many pages are we talking for the Cthulhu Invades Neverland?
We're currently at 243 art pages. That's not counting the prose that we got to add in and the poems. So
it grows by the day.
It grows by the day.
Damn. That's going to be a whopper.
Yeah, it'll be a whopper. It'll be over 250 pages. We need to stop growing because, our money is not increasing at the rate of our new page intakes.
Let's do a quick call to action.
Right. I probably could have had Blake do more pages if I knew we were going to get this high. I could have gave him 3.
Yeah, you got to rope in some of those Blake's Buzz customers.
Right. He's got 900 views now. Like
that was all lackadaisy. That had nothing to do with me. Tracy has like 100,000 followers. They brought in, and most of it was their animation crew. Like a lot of them in there. But yeah, that was all. I mean, it was awesome, but they totally brought their own audience.
So let's talk about the promotion then a little bit. We're on the air right now, of course, and we're fortunate tonight. This is going out on something like 8 channels. So
wow.
Yeah, they got a multi streaming thing going on. So, but what I want to ask Blake is this. So, hey man, you got your foot in the door. You got your first story. Congratulations. What's the next move for Blake?
Nothing. Retired.
He made his move.
I mean,
there's more.
I honestly haven't thought about a lot of the creative side of things. I've been really, really focused and doing a lot of PR and publicity and advertising and marketing for some different freelance clients and like working for Metal Ninja, working for Invader Comics and Woven Press. I would like to do something again. Like I've told everybody though, is I definitely saw just 2 pages. How much 2 freaking pages of comic book can cost? Is like that when I started hearing like colors drop prices and stuff when we were looking around for some things, and I was just like, oh. And so there's a new fear now because now you when you know you can do something right. And people believe in you and people are like, okay, what you made was good. Then you're like, you kind of get the idea. You're like, oh, maybe we can do this again. But then you learn about like the other costs of like doing it. And I knew things were expensive, right? But I didn't know just exactly how expensive it got and how quickly. And so like, I have like a whole new, well of sorrow for indie creators.
Fortunately,
I now know
all
what
of
you
us
guys
comic
go
writers
through.
are millionaires.
Yeah, right. Everybody gets in this industry to get rich. Right?
You already did the hardest part. The 1 to 3 page story is the hardest thing
Definitely.
in comics. So you
really is.
you broke
It
it
really
through that
is.
hurdle. I recommend that people do that all the time to start. Write a 6 to 12 page story, see how it goes, and then go from there. You've already done an even harder one, so you got this. You'll find some poor sap who's willing to work for you discount rate because you're Blake's Buzz.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I've had people like I've had on the show and stuff tell me. I've had people say like if I ever did a comic, they'd throw like maybe do like a variant cover for so like I have connections. I'm not. I mean, I still like no one's like Blake. I'll do all your art for free. I'm not that cool.
Tell you what, let's change up your question then, because I see you got a bunch of stuff going on. What would you differently? What would you? How do I want to ask this question? How would you promote your own work differently to make it stand out from your other clients?
Oh my God, I would start an OnlyFans, and I would I would just like I would read comics shirtless. Maybe no, I don't. That's tough because I mean that's one of the reasons why people like me working for them is because I just kind of do a little bit of everything. I do think video. I do think video is you know, like the short video, Instagram Reels, TikTok videos, YouTube Shorts. One thing I thought would be cool though, and I only thought this because I was playing a lot of Diablo when it first came out, and
Yeah.
I was like, it'd be really cool to like stream Diablo and like maybe chat about comics or have other people on the stream and like while I'm just grinding for levels and you know I could be like, what's your book about? And then like but not it would have to like coincide with it, right? Like it'd be good for like fantasy genre or like if you were streaming like cyberpunk and then had some sci-fi people on. And I just
Right.
because video game streamers are like I mean those guys when you make it like they're making big bucks, they're pulling in crazy views, they're getting you know millions of views,
Yeah,
hundreds of thousands of followers. I was like comics not many comics YouTubers have that, and so I was kind of wondering if like you could if there was like a merger or crossover. So that would be something I would think about, and it is an excuse to just play more video games, and then you don't feel as guilty because you're like I have so much stuff I should be doing, and it's 6 o'clock in the morning and I can't stop playing Diablo.
You know my thoughts on video, man. It's my next year. I'm all over it. I'll even the end of this year too. John, how about you,
your
buddy?
shorts, man. I love your shorts and
yeah,
stuff. Like,
it's my highest performing thing. But let's keep the light on you guys here tonight. So, John, are you doing anything special to promote for the Cthulhu book? I guess you're probably knee deep in Drumsticks fulfillment, right?
Not yet. I'm lettering. We're about halfway through the book, so it should be fulfilling soon. I have 3 other books right behind it coming out. We're doing another Kickstarter in September, but it just happened to work out. A nice gap here where I can promote Cthulhu.
Nice. And what kind of things you doing? You're going on podcasts and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I was just on with Pop Anime Comics. I've been on Travis's show. I'm on with you.
All the good ones.
Trying to get the word out there, and you know, again, letting them know my unique story. That you know, after years in the trenches, it's nice to be invited to an anthology. I've actually been the editor of I think 14 anthologies. That doesn't even include my own like collections of short stories and stuff like that, which I wouldn't count. So I have a lot of experience in putting together anthologies. So I definitely like to be in the background. I'm loving being in the Facebook group and seeing people chat about it and being in the Discord. And
yeah, I'm glad you're
watching
here, man.
Travis stress about the 67 creators he's got bouncing around, because I can definitely. The biggest one I think I ever did was like 40 creators, and it's just it's herding cats, and it's but it's fun. I do recommend. That is something you should do early and often in your comics career. Put together your own anthology, see how it comes out, even if you Xerox it yourself at the gas station. It's so fun. Like Travis said, working with people who've never been published, never written, all the way up to seasoned pros. It's just fun to see everyone's excitement to come together. I've worked on many of them were basically just copies of the book was all they got. No funding or anything like that. But people love it, and that's that again gets you energized as your creator. So if you're having a lull in your career or you're early in your career and you're wondering what to do, pick a theme, throw an anthology together, and see what happens. And
so you said you made how many anthologies, John?
I think I did 14 under the banner of Kingbone Press when I was working with my co-partner Bob Ornelas. We did
also
3 anthologies.
It's a broad range of subject matter.
Yeah, and I did very few themed ones. We did Banthology, which was all music themes, but a lot of it was just open calls. We did a book called Low Concept where we just took everyone from the 11 o'clock comics message board. If you can make a story, we'll put you in, as long as it's not
right, yeah,
completely out of right field. But and then I did a Simpsons anthology, Magic the Gathering anthology. So I've done a few themes, but I've also done just kind of open calls, which can be fun too, just to see what people come up with.
How do you arrive at your when you have the themed ones? How do you arrive at the decision for the theme? You pull it out of a hat. This one's going to be music themed. Like, how do you choose it?
Well, a lot of it is poor decision making at a moment's notice. I was about to recommend to Blake while he was talking, and I bit my tongue. Hey, Blake, you should do a buzzthology where you just invite creators to go, and I'll edit it. But don't listen to that, Blake.
Now I kind of want
because
to listen to that.
like Banthology was just a bunch of us were like, hey, we all make comics, we all played in bands, let's do a music anthology. And I said, we'll call it Banthology. And then a buddy of mine on Twitter was like, oh, you should do an anthology, which is the comic books that are in The Simpsons. And I was like, well, I have to do it now. You can't just throw that out there and then I don't do it. So then you just make time on your schedule and you just make it happen. See what comes together, because that's part of the fun of comics. You could literally, we could sit down today if we had any ability to draw and make something by tomorrow and put it out there.
Yeah.
And so I like to capitalize on that excitement.
Have you seen those the 24-hour comics, guys?
Oh
and
yeah,
girls?
there's been some great ones.
Yeah, there's some good ones. So Davey, how about you? So talking about promotion, and you've got a bunch of things going on right now, right? You got Panino, you got the anthology. What is the best way for you to promote what you are doing, in particular the Cthulhu story?
Yeah, I mean, I was a little bit late to the party for this one, to be honest. I've been really sketched out about the August 16th release date and kind of focusing on Benigno a lot more than maybe I should have with this publication coming up with Orange Cone. But got on my horse today and, just really using your team as a collaborative outsource. I mean, working together. Being able to text them or let them know, when you're going live with some photos on Instagram, Facebook, or whatnot, any social media. That's mostly my main source, is trying to get some buzz around social media. And, it's good when you have a couple projects going all at once. So it kind of fits in good with the Benigno as well. So I'm not just, plastering all over my social
media. Are you using X?
Project. X?
Yeah.
Oh, that's Twitter. Oh,
yeah,
my God.
It is X now, right? I guess.
Yeah, that's right. It is. Yeah, I posted a few things there.
I never did too well when it was Twitter, so I don't know if I'm going to keep using that one.
Yeah, I never did well on Twitter either, so I'm not sure how X will fare.
All I have is Twitter. I'm so scared, guys. All I have is Twitter.
I know, it's my best platform too. Womp womp.
Gotcha. So, and Matt, same question for you. So, I know you're doing a little bit because I see your stuff in the feeds. But do you have like anybody that helps you like manage the ads and the graphics and or are you just doing it?
So I think this is where OCD can be a blessing and a curse. I have this. This is my daily planner, and I sit down with it, and I make out a checklist, and I basically have 3 things going on right now. I have Cthulhu, which is current. I have Dying Days, which is in previews, and then I have another anthology that's about to start in mid-August. So I make sure that I hit each platform each day. And again, my OCD loves checking off the check marks each day. I'm a little prolific with the posting, but again, it's a blessing and a curse to be organized and have a little bit of OCD. So I try to hit everything at least once a day. And I don't know if people get annoyed with me because it's all comics all the time. Like I don't pick. I every once in a while I'm like, should I put a picture of my dog and be like, hey,
yeah, I see what you're saying.
Look at this dog right here. If you really like this dog, check out the comic.
There is some value
there's a Kickstarter going on. So maybe I try that. Cute pictures of dogs and just pull people in that way.
Yeah, one pledge keeps him fed, right? Just feel the guilt. Get him with the guilt.
Play the Sarah McLachlan music in the background.
Yeah, very true.
So Travis, the big question comes to you, right? We're talking about marketing, and you've got effectively, how many creators is it? 30?
83.
83 creators that you've got to manage. And what is, I guess I'm going to ask you directly first, what is the effective way to advertise a project of that scope?
You don't. You just let the internet. Kickstarter will handle itself. Yeah, that's it. Just do nothing. No, it's.
I was getting excited. I was like, please let that be the
answer. It's everything from your email list to backer kit launch to being on shows every night. Like shows. Here's the big reality: shows don't produce like they used to. Back in the day, you go on a show. I'd go, hey, Blake, can I be on your show? Cool. I'll get 3 backers from Blake. Three to 4 backers. Cool. Tim, can I be on your show? I'll get 3 to 4 backers on Tim's show. Cool. So you go to these shows and you get small stacks and, all right, so if I do one a night for 30 days, that gets me, 150 backers. It just doesn't work that way anymore. Now you do shows to just continue to press it to people. Why haven't you backed this shit yet? Like, what is wrong with you? Why haven't you done it yet? And trying to get it. And then the other thing that makes these things a lot harder than they used to be too is the algorithms have changed. Yep. People like to talk about, the sexy books and all them and how they're not affecting things. Well, where they do affect things is the Kickstarter search algorithms. Search algorithms for Kickstarter are very, very intelligent, meaning they're going to refer sexy books to sexy books to sexy books to sexy books. When you do another book, they then categorize that book, and they don't know how to categorize it. And there's less options to categorize, right? They're not going to do they'll do superheroes to support superheroes. Cthulhu makes it hard. So public domain, all right, cool, we'll do it with other public domain. There's not a lot of public domain. Last time we were doing this, there was 4 other Cthulhu books on. So that helped to do the promotion so they could do all these things. So all those things factor in on it. I think people think you just click the button and like it happens, and I mean, not to get cocky, there's only between the $20,000 range and 99,999, there's only 2,042 people who've projects who's ever done that. It's not a lot of projects for a platform that's, how long is Kickstarter? 10 years? We're on 10?
Something like
15.
that. 12.
Yeah.
15. Okay. Yeah. So that's not a lot of projects, guys. It's not a lot who's done it. We've done it now 3 times. This is now the 3rd time, assuming we fund, we'll achieve that. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of effort. And it's about putting in that effort and knowing that you've got to be in this and you've got to do it. And, people like to go, one of the things, I know this is not what you asked them, but I got to answer this. A lot of people are like,
I want to hear it.
Why does it cost 30 grand? Whoa. How does it cost 30 grand? Let me
Travis,
tell you.
why does it cost 30 grand?
Let me tell you why it costs 30 grand. We factor in, it's about $100 a page. As Blake told you how much art and all that costs. So it's about $100 a page. So we give a certain percentage out to each of the creators. I have to print with a certain percentage of that. And then I have to print to that, and then I have to letter that because the lettering is done by a separate guy, except for Matt, who was too good for Jerome. Okay, apparently Ringo nomination was done.
Listen.
Letter my own. Get that guy out of here.
Well.
Listen, Noah got
Davy
the font.
as well.
Noah got the approved font from Jerome and said go. So I cleared it with Ringo nominated Jerome. Use the right
We are
font,
happy to be in his shadow. We are honored.
We'll
but before I could finish typing the sentence saying, "Hey Jerome, do you need help?" He was like, "Please, for the love of God, letter some of these goddamn pages."
Well, I've been talking to Blake, and Blake's been talking to Joel of how he would handle this situation. What he said is, your pages need to have like a yellow P background so that you can tell like these were not done by Ringo.
For sure.
So just to make sure it emotional. That's what Joel said, right? That's how you handle that.
Yeah,
Like,
that sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yellow, weird yellow stuff everywhere.
Right, just to make sure you know that it's different and like here's why and have it labeled. The other thing, so all right, so that gets us, we said we're at 243 pages, right? So that gets us to at 243. So that leaves us at 5,000-ish left, right? Guess what that pays for? Half of it is a Kickstarter fee. The other half is my taxes. That's it. End of list. There's not a huge amount of profit like people think. And everybody's underpaid. From me to Matt to Davey to Blake to John, everybody's underpaid in this because of anthology. And you've done anthologies. You've done anthology and you're like, hey, I got my $40. How much? How do you guys want to split this 5 people?
Well, and I'm fond of saying things like I do the anthologies primarily to get my name into the credits, and that makes other things happen. In my case, the other things that happened to me that happened accidentally have exceeded already where I thought I would have been. So I'm going to keep going with accidental stuff.
Definitely.
I was happy to get anything, so let me tell you, I appreciate it.
Well,
that is good, and I appreciate you, laying it out there again. Don't think this is all going into Travis's pocket. It's expensive to print the books. What we all get in the end, most of us, including him, is get some books to sell.
Yeah,
right. And that's how Orange Cone.
I said what I'm getting.
Yeah,
I'm buying a Magneto helmet. But it's not because we raised a whole bunch. It's because that is my pay for all my writing for all the book
and all the stuff.
It's a Magneto helmet.
And I think even if you
it's
do
good.
like,
You're making sure your people are getting paid. You're upfront about it. I mean, that's a big deal. A lot of companies don't even do that. So, yeah, it seems like a big ask, but it's also a big book, and it's a pretty book, and a very expensive and different versions. So all this.
And anthologies have a long shelf life too. Like you could be talking about an anthology 10 years down the road. It's still just as cool. They have sort of like a timeless quality, especially for the subject matter.
Yeah, if you do like a single issue and it's like a $3,000 to $5,000 issue, if you're the writer and de facto like creative, project manager, that's you're paying page rates, you're paying shipping, you're paying postage, there's nothing at the end of the day for that. It's just here's the comic that I made. That's the reward at the end of the day.
That's what I got paid for Drumsticks #1. One copy.
Yeah,
it is pretty awesome, my brother.
It was.
So yeah, we certainly wish you the best of success with this project. Let's take a quick second and look at it. Of course, we're talking about Cthulhu Invades Neverland. That's over on Kickstarter right now. We got 490 backers. Hopefully we can pick up a couple more here tonight. A roster of creators. You simply cannot believe the level of talent here. Let's see, where did we leave off? Travis, can you tell us a little bit about some stretch goals and what kind of things you have going?
Yeah, so first thing was get his backer goals. So backer goals, and you can actually go back to the page and scroll down a little bit so they can see it. Yeah, so backer goals is one of the things that we do. So for every 50 backers, I'm going to give them a digital comic. So we have tons of digital comics all available right here. Look, we've got, 9 comics so far. We're 10 backers away from 50. So at the minimum, you'll get all those stuff. When we unlock things, we're going to unlock things that we used to charge for. So we used to charge for commentary. We used to do a commentary of the book. We are going to do that, but that's going to be the first stretch goal. We're going to have that right at the beginning. When you fund, that's going to be the fund reward. We're going to give that. Some of the things that people have been asking for is people really want that Cthulhu Invades Oz hardcover. See that right there, Tim? Yes. That is a list of all the places Cullen Bunn has worked. So that's a display of all the Cullen Bunn works right there.
Good stuff, man.
But yeah, so we're gonna have some of that. Just really fun stuff to add value to the book. I think we're gonna start getting stretch goals early next week. If everything goes well, we're still chugging right along. We've got 7,000 left to go ish. But we'll make it, and I'm excited about where this campaign ends. And this is our biggest campaign of the year. Everyone gets excited about it, and as we're working on the next one already. Because this is so successful. Of a book, and taking care of people.
Well, the artwork looks terrific. And I got to say, when you get this level of a crew put together, it almost has to be a stellar project.
Yeah, exactly. I try to get the best of the best. I try to get my friends who I think are talented, who don't get opportunities. Like I was shocked when I called Jon and Jon said, no one's ever asked me to work for him before.
Yeah, that surprises me too.
Yeah, I was shocked by that. And then in Blake's like, I've always dreamed about writing a comic. Here was my whole thing. Dude, you want to write a comic? Let me help you write a comic. Like doing all that. And Davy, same thing. Hey, I'm trying to do this thing. I'm doing this. I was like, hey, do you want to write something here? And he wrote it and drew it and tried to break all the rules like he does. Davy's been out of control. And then Matt Kund and I are. Matt and I love going on his show because we talk about the art of comic making. We are a fan of the same stuff, the 90s stuff that we like, art, what everybody else likes. Everybody else is talking about Spawn and the 90s X-Men, and me and Matt are going like, that fucking New Warriors run was tight. Let's talk about
that. Was Mark Bagley, that's my dude.
Right, Darkhawk, like that. Was,
yeah.
Darkhawk, there you go.
Darkhawk, bring him back.
So it's just getting these people together and creating this beautiful piece, and and then selling them. Like people sell out of this every time they bring them to cons. Every time they sell out, because it's a good book that brings people to the table. The whole purpose of this, the reason why I created it to begin with, is I needed a trade paperback at my table faster to make table. That's why I created it. That's why I asked my friends together, and then it became a staple. And then I found out I was really good at it, and people really want to work with me. So that's what we do.
Heck yeah.
Good deal, man. Good deal. And I love the look of this hardcover.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Where are you getting the hardcovers made? Would you like to
that,
disclose
that, that particular? Hey, I can even show you that one in real life. That Wonderland one. You like that one?
Yeah, let me blow you up here.
Okay.
Very nice.
So I've always got them in comic impressions. They are very expensive. Just to give you an idea,
One more time, Trev.
Oh, sorry. I got stuff falling all over the place.
Oh, that is nice looking.
Yeah, Kyle Willis does this cover every time he does it. And if you look at it close, see the little lines right there?
Mm-hmm.
That's because it's painted on a canvas. It's on a canvas painted with the original art from original text from Wonderland. So it's painted on that on top of it, which is really, really cool. Everybody agrees that his latest one has been the best, which is really cool. And he knocks it out of the park every time. So we put him in comic impressions, but just to give you an idea, it cost me the same amount to get 300 hardcovers as it did to get me 2,000 softcovers.
Wow.
Are you shipping them from overseas? How are you doing it?
No, I'm not. I get them in the U.S., and that's why it costs so much. If it did overseas, I would have saved it that. And I may do that this one. We did add extra timeline on that to do so, like I think our releases, but we've got to figure all that out. But it's tough, it's tough to get all that taken care of. And the only reason why the delivery date is December, by the way, is because one, I wanted to give a little time for my wife. We were really stressed out last time doing it. But two is there's a play. Peter Pan has a play that is public domain as of December 2023. And even though I've not done anything from the play, as far as I'm aware, it's better to just be safe, right? To just be safe so you don't have to deal with that lawsuit or anything like that.
Okay.
There's no such thing as bad publicity, sir. A lawsuit might be good.
Yeah, as I'm fond of saying, there's no such thing as bad publicity. There's only
That's
publicity.
right. Ozzy Osbourne.
I was canceled a few weeks ago, and I beg to differ. I wasn't a big fan.
That's wrong. You're more popular than ever. You bounce back stronger.
Yeah, and then, like I say, if you got haters, that means you're making it, dude.
Well, then he's definitely made it.
So hey, I got a quick question for Blake. I want to know. I'm going to change up with some more difficult questions. So Blake, if you started making money out of writing, and say you start getting paid a page rate, would you switch from doing marketing and promotion over to writing full time?
I mean, I do a lot of writing already. I mean, I feel like all I do is write press releases all the time.
I mean, page maker.
Yeah, if I could, it's still fun. I think working for like a publisher like Invader is cool. And I think like working for Joel at Metal Ninja and like all they're doing for indie comics and his big plans it's cool. And Joel keeps giving me more responsibility. So he's very much like bringing me in and teaching me and I'm like, I feel like a big part of stuff sometimes. So like, I wouldn't want to lose that, but I would definitely, I would definitely pursue writing. I would find like a healthy split. And cause I feel like if I was getting page rates, regularly and steadily and getting work, I wouldn't have to take on so many extra clients outside of like these bigger jobs that publishers have.
Right. It seems like you have a good balance, a good mix of both.
I try. It's I just don't want to go back to work, man. I mean, I work. I don't want to go get another regular job again. I joke with my friends. They make fun of me because I'm always scared I'm going to get fired. And the reason I make those jokes though is because I've never loved something so much as what I'm doing right now. And like, it's insane. I get to wake up every day and I get to talk about comics. I get to write about comics and I get to work with indie creators and try and make people know who they are. Right. And I just get to hype comics every day. I get to use my love of comics to try and infect outsiders and snag them in, right, and reel them in, and I'm so lucky, and it's crazy. Like all this happened, and then Travis offered me this, and it's just like I get scared sometimes because I think I hope it's a sign, but sometimes I'm like, I get that worry when like too many good things happen, and then you're like it's got to stop. You know, it's got to. It's like it's gonna turn. It's gonna turn. We're gonna hit that iceberg, right? We're partying on the boat deck and eating great food. One night we're just fucking run into an iceberg. No, I hope that doesn't happen, but it does scare me. But yeah, it's crazy.
Well, and the
I
icebergs
never
are
thought
out
this would
there.
happen. Yeah, they are.
Icebergs are out there whether you pursue the dream or not. I say
That's
keep going,
true.
brother.
Yeah.
I believe Blake wakes up every day and has a list like this where it's like, who likes me, who doesn't, and he like moves people across because he's so scared of getting fired or not. Like, just everyone has a scale. Like Blake performed best with the MySpace 8, so he knew where he stood every day. Like, he could look at something and be like, "Where am I in the top?" All right, cool.
Been all downhill since then.
Yeah.
So Davey, let's jump over to Davey. I got one for you. So now you've got your publishing deal going, you got your anthology deal. Which way of creating did you like better? Do you have or do you just like writing no matter what you're doing?
Yeah, I like writing no matter what I'm doing. I mean, like I said, I spend most of my time writing short stories and working on a novel, but I try to write on comics as much as I possibly can. I find comics a lot more fun to write. Typically,
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by more fun to write?
Well, you can kind of be outside of the story a little bit because you have a team beside you. So I would imagine that if I was a script writer for movies, it would seem somewhat similar, where I know that there's going to be a director and a whole production crew that's going to sort of put the skin on my skeleton, as it were. So it's really nice to be able to maybe rely, but also like play with another imagination on the page. So like I can write something and think like, how is Luis Santamarina going to see this? How is Noel going to see this? And when they bring something to it that I had never even pictured in my mind, I get even more excited.
Do those guys do well? I guess I'll just use Luis since I know him. Does he co-plot with you a little bit? How do you guys do it?
No, Luis like follows my direction. He's like, whatever you want, man, I'll do. But typically I have to, if I want to get his input, I'm going to be like, we get drafts back and then I say, this is great. Or, I'm thinking maybe this page actually needs a little bit more fine tuning or something to my liking.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And John, how about you? Same variation on the question. So you have a couple of anthologies, several actually, and you also have different types of publishing arrangements. What's your favorite way to write your stories, or do you just like writing no matter what you're doing?
I was never the person who wanted to really go into writing. I kind of backed into it, needing a creative outlet after I wasn't in a band anymore. So I'm a kind of a pants writer still. I kind of come up with the seed of an idea, maybe a scene or two, kind of get that feel and then build from there. I'm big on like notes.
Well, let me ask you that a little more detail. So
sure.
In your beginning, do you start with a script? Do you do a couple sketches? Is it dialogue? How does John start his story?
A lot of it is like plot points. I take notes in my phone or on Google Docs, and I've kind of got a seed of a story going. Okay. Maybe I have an idea, where it's going, and then I've kind of got an idea. Okay, before I go in, this is probably going to be a short story. This is probably going to be a 10 issue story, and then I've got something to build on. And then usually it's a scene or two that kind of pop in, and then I'll write that scene, and then say, where does this fit? Is this the beginning? Is this later in the story? And then kind of fill it in from there. I usually script issue to issue. I'm trying to script further ahead now to get, some better plotting in there, but I like, again, comics can be pretty immediate and I like to go with the changes. And when art comes in and I feel like, ooh, that character needs more time or this needs to change. I like to do that because you can in comics, right? You can't do that in TV or movies or whatever else. So I like to play with that part of comics a lot. So I try to leave things pretty open, even if, I'm planting seeds to get to an end point.
And this is your next campaign coming up, right?
Yeah, that is. Thanks for sharing. It just came out, so we'll debut it here on Tim's show. Thanks. Yeah, we're doing 3 issues. Ill-advised in the Kickstarter market, but what the hell? You know what? We're treating it like a Kickstarter plan.
Correct.
I have the next issue of Child Possession Services about a social worker for possessed children, Bulletproof Chicken, The Cock with the Glock, and Depowered about sad sack superheroes. 2 of the series are coming to a conclusion. Bulletproof Chicken's been around for about 10 years, but we're finally wrapping it up with one final blowout issue. So that's kind of been one of our easy sellers over the years. So we thought we'd kind of wrap it all up. And then hopefully all these series can get to trades next year, so I can have those bigger books for the table.
Yeah. Listen, you're going to see me there. Well, just about 15 days now. I'm coming with my trade. I'll be blanket bombing you guys with propaganda. Okay, so Matt, how about you? Same kind of deal, right? So you publish yourself, and you also have publishing deals. Which writing do you prefer, or are you just happy to be writing?
Yeah. Before I answer this question, one thing that I thought was really cool was one of the things that really got me back into comics was the podcast, 11 O'Clock Comics podcast. And Jon mentioned that he had ran an anthology that was 11 O'Clock Comics podcast. So I love the whole full circle that we've got there.
Nice.
And I was just thinking, let's do like a flash sale. We're at $4.90. If we go to $4.91, the next backer, I will send them a Metal Eagle comic.
Oh, nice.
So Travis, if you can keep track of that,
Sure.
the next backer, I'll send them a Metal Eagle.
I'll even send it. I'll send this one right here, and I'll get a new one from you at Baltimore.
Okay, sounds good. I tend to be a concept writer. I tend to like get a concept and sort of build upon that, which is something I need to get better about, like the human interest. Like a lot of times it's like CIA band that's a front, heavy metal band that's a front for the CIA, and then I have to build the human interest from that and make you care about the characters. So a lot of times it's just sort of spark of inspiration, like this is the concept, let's build from that. But I'm just a weird dude that like just wants to. I love comics. I love to read comics, and I just want to make comics, and this is sort of my outlet. I have a really stressful day job, and this is what I'm trying to do for fun, and I just really enjoy it. So.
I think we talked about this before, but I forgot. Do you mind mentioning what you do for your day job?
I'll be very vague here and say that I work for Homeland Security.
Great.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Travis, be careful, man.
Yeah, I no longer want to be on your show. I'm good. I was not aware these are things that should be mentioned up front.
So Travis, you mentioned about having this skill, right, of how you build these quality teams and for the anthologies, and how it's loosely kind of gaming based. But you do writing as well. The first thing is, do you have a story in this book? Are you the editor? What is your title here?
So I create the overarching story, and then I'll have several stories in it. So I'll have my story. So I have Captain Hook. So Captain Hook is my story. But then I'll also write a few I'll write the ending to give it to the ending, you know. And no, I don't always write them. Sometimes I give them out, like Frank Miller. We didn't have a Peter Pan fighting Hook scene. Like they got to fight, right? They have to have their sword fight. That has to happen. I called Frank and let him write it instead of me. So I'm not greedy on it. But if there's something that I need to get out there, I make it, because I really want to take. If this is good or bad, I want to take full authority of it. Like I don't want to go, well, such and such wrote it, so don't blame me. No, this is my book. I made sure we have the best talent, the best part of it, and I'm part of that. This may sound egotistical, but I'm a pretty fucking good writer myself. Like not to be a dick, like I'm pretty happy. Like people tend to like my stuff, So.
Yeah, you're having a little bit of a run here in the market, right? This is your year, buddy. This is your year.
I just got another, literally I was on a show right before this, and a guy offered me more work and said, write as many pages as you want. I was like, you don't want to say that? Because I will write as many pages as I want. You now have a graphic novel, good sir.
So tell us a little bit. We talked about the marketing for this anthology, and obviously there's two categories which we always strive for: are of course dollar amount and backer count.
Yeah.
The first thing is, which one do you prefer over the other? And you'll probably give me the standard answer that you want both. So then I'm going to say, what are you doing this time to boost those numbers?
Yeah, I mean, this one's struggling a little bit. So,
what do you mean by that? What do you mean by struggling a little bit?
we were at 47K last time and funded pretty early. So, we're at 17.0 and we're gonna hit 3. I think we'll probably hit 35K, is probably what we're gonna be at, maybe 37. But you never know. But it's because, Wonderland is just way more popular than Neverland. In fact, a smart man who would have hired Blake from the beginning as a guy who can advise you on amazing things, Blake would have said to me, do Neverland first because it doesn't have a lot of creatures. Do Oz second because it's very popular, it's got a lot of creatures, and then you bang it out of the park with Wonderland because everybody loves that shit.
Yeah.
And Blake told me that for years. I just never listened. But no, that's stuff. So I have a goal. I don't care about the money because I don't give a shit about money. I want everyone to get paid. I want everyone to get more stuff. But dude, I want to get 1,000 backers so bad. Like I want to get 1,000 backers and I want to do it on a non-titty book, a non-safe for work book. Because a lot of people do it on the non-safe for work books, but I really want to do it on this is just art. Like, do you like my art or do you not? I really want to, that's my goal, is to get 1,000. I want to get more on a campaign that I have backed. That's my goal. And I'm at 953. So I want to get 1,000. That's my goal. That's what I would like to do.
That's a good goal, man. Let's set something up so that if we hit 1,000.
If we set 1,000, I'm going to do all sorts of crazy stuff. That's my goal.
If you want 1,000, you better rethink what you just said, because Titty Thulu, man, that's 1,000.
We got 847 last time.
Tentacles and titties. You'll print money. It'll just
Yeah, I was 847. That's amazing.
Yeah,
where's all? Isn't there like a certain section of California where like all the porn is filmed? Like, can we have Cthulhu invade that
Silicon Valley
that section? Yeah,
Silicon
like Cthulhu invades that area.
And how many volumes will it be, Travis? So that's 3 now, right?
The horror.
So here's where it gets tricky. So next year I'm gonna solo write. And by the way, I want to say this. Thank you to the people who are a part of this anthology, because I put a message in the group. Hey, should I write the last part by myself? And like everybody would say, hey man, this is your book. Please take credit for it. Please do it. So I'll write the whole thing myself. And it's going to be kind of the epilogue of everything, because there has been characters from Oz that have gone through all books. We don't make a big deal about it, but there's a through line, a story that goes through all this. So we'll write one big epic ending with a smaller thing, and then we'll start the new thing. And the new thing, if you haven't heard, is going to be Cthulhu Invades Grim Fairy Tales. So we're going to do fairy tales. And at this point, I'm actually thinking about doing it a trilogy, probably 2 Grim Fairy Tales and then 1 regular fairy tales, because regular fairy tales has like 3 Little Pigs and stuff like that. They weren't done in Grim, but they're like must-have ones. We're going to do it differently. There's not going to be a connected tissue to them. We're not going to do a connected tissue. There'll be retelling of those stories in just adding a Cthulhu tint to them. So we're going to do that for the next 3 years, and then we're going to come back to this and do some things. And then in between, I may do some things in this. I've got some ideas, so I'm really excited.
That sounds fantastic. And we're almost to our time, so I want to get a couple more questions out of each guy here. I'll jump over to Blake. So Blake, what was your favorite thing in working the anthology, and what did you learn from the experience?
The main thing I learned was to not waste time, right? I kept wanting, like I said, I kept having this idea of like a calm introduction juxtaposed with some quick moving chaos. And I very much learned that it's not even just regardless of your page time, but like comics work better just right into the chaos. Just like, just get into like what parts of the story are important that you need to tell and start there. Don't start somewhere else and go there. Just start there, and then do what you need to do. Say what you need to say. Let your character, perform and execute. And so that was one of the best things that I learned. And just like I also learned that I used to really look down on this writing on a cell phone. I wrote the script on my cell phone on Google Docs. Like I was walking, like I walked around. I walked away from the computer and laid down in bed. Like I mentioned earlier, I fell asleep and then woke up and had it figured out. That mobility was actually really impressive. Like Frankie White told me on an interview that he wrote on his cell phone, and I was like, what? Gross. Like you write on a laptop at a coffee shop like everybody else or something, you know, like and that just kind of freeing yourself from the computer, but not the device, right? But like giving yourself the ability to move around, get comfortable somewhere else, stare at a different kind of screen. That was another cool thing that I've also, like, we use a cell phone all day. Why wouldn't we use a cell phone to write or take notes or start something on, right?
It's basically a computer.
Yeah, especially now, yeah. And then the most fun, I guess, would be that when you figure it out, when you're sweating and you're struggling and you're like, I don't know if I'm a good enough writer to tell a story in 2 pages and to make this character matter in 2 pages and to make this character do something that matters, that resonates, right? That's a lot to do in 2 pages, especially 2 pages of a comic script, which is even less words and less description. And but yeah, when you pull that off and that excitement, that like tingly feeling that like goes all throughout your like nervous system and resonates through your bone marrow, like that was a cool feeling.
It's a good answer, man. It's a good answer. Davey, how about you? So what kind of things were your favorite things as far as working on the anthology, and what did you learn from the experience?
Yeah, I mean, working with Travis and working with the Orange Cone team is always a great privilege. So I love doing that. And, you know, I was going with a newer artist, and this time my first American artist. So it was kind of stressful to work with an American artist when they're charging, you know, $100, dollars a page and things like that. And, you know, it was a big learning experience because, you know, life gets in the way and drawing comics is really tough. And so, you know, he gets to like 4 pages and, you know, just life gets in the way. And so we have to figure out, you know, am I going to have to rewrite or hire somebody else to redraw this whole comic? But Luis and his, you know, professionalism and his, you know, knowledge of comics and just his go with it attitude was like, hell no, we'll just do 3 parts. You know, I'll do 2 pages because the script actually broke down into a way that we could kind of see it in 3 parts.
Make it work.
Yeah, make it work. And so we had the first pages, they were in. Then Luis came in with a little, you know, slap on the bass with 2 pages, and then the drum solo, guitar solo at the end with Noel's 1 page. It was perfect. So it just all come together, and I'd have to, you know, pair it off of Blake and say, you know, seeing everything come together is the best feeling in the world. Cause I really had no idea. I was thinking I was going to message Travis and be like, thanks for giving me a shot, man, but you need a new story. I don't know.
Well, thanks for sharing that thoughtful answer. So Matt, how about you? What were your favorite parts of working on the anthology? And also, what did you learn from the experience?
So favorite parts is I just love the teamwork aspect of it. I love, like, I'll just, for example, like, every time I'm at a con, I see Don win, and like, you know, I'll post and like, you know, just seeing Don win, like share my post. I just love like the teamwork aspect of it. Yeah. But personally, like I've never really had an experience where, you know, I mainly work as a indie comics writer. And again, I've said this before, kind of de facto project manager, where it's sort of like, you know, I hire people, I pay them a page rate, and for, you know, lack of a better term, they kind of have to listen to me as the boss. But this one, like, I really struggled with completing the story. And the time that, you know, I was sharing Facebook messages with Travis, I'm like, you know, I don't quite think I have this. And then, you know, that phone call with Travis where he was like, hey, you know, you have all of these kernels of a story. You know, did you know about these things? If you bring these in, this is gonna like tie everything together. And then after that phone call, I was able to go, hey, you know what? The things that I laid out here and the things that Travis told me about these things that I didn't know, again, these were some pan lore that I didn't know. I was able to bring those in, and that just sort of like cemented the story. So personally, the working with somebody to help me finish the story, and then I just love the teamwork aspect of it all.
All right, good answer. And man, you might say I saved the best for last, the capstone on our evening here. I'm going to ask Travis this question, but I'm going to change it up just a hair, which is because now you've got some anthologies under your belt, Ringo Award nominated, things are really going your way. What tips would you give to a creator who is attempting to start their own anthology? And what are some things that you would tell them to avoid?
Well, one, anthologies aren't tracking well on Kickstarter, so just to be warned, they're not making as much like up front. So you've got to really have a passion for it. Two, the best anthology is one that's theme is unquestionable, like something that people really need to hear about. The best anthologies that do well are based off of taboo subjects. So whether it be like a sexy one or whatever. Two, one that's benefiting something like like whether it be supporting the LGBT community or helping the war in Iraq, like the long sites that the war in that's Hungary, right? Right. That's Russia and right. That's
Are you saying Ukraine?
Ukraine.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm unaddressed. So those are the two things, and then three. Make sure it has something to say and something special, and don't just. I actually recommend it's better to invite everyone instead of having open submissions. The hardest part about anthologies is someone gets mad every time because I have to cut. Every time I'm done with a campaign, I cut out 25%. Here's how I decide that 25%. One, did we vibe well? Was working with you pleasant? Three, did you help promote? Those are the three things that I go well. One of those three things. And then the fourth is if for some reason, like in the overarching story, what did it add to the whole thing, when we're doing a Cthulhu? And that's how I figure it out. And then I have to take that so we can add new blood because you need new blood. Because if you're just selling to the same people every time, it's not going to work. So it's better when you're doing that. It's easier for me to say, hey, Davy, you've done a couple. I have to have somebody else because it's not going to be as offensive to him because he's been with me through this thing. He's done a couple of them. It's not anything personal. It's about doing that. And since I personally invited him, removing him is not as bad versus if Davey sent it to me and I said, I'm sorry, buddy, you're not in this one. And just no explanation. And he's
right.
to figure out what
I just don't like your face anymore.
Right. I just don't like
it's
easier if I hold, if you need to take, even though it's harder, you need to take that personal responsibility of like, hey, you're in, you're out, and I'm the guy who's telling you that one way or the other versus hey man, we got a lot of great submissions, but yours was not amazing. And everyone else's was amazing. And we think that this would be really good for Billy Bob's anthology that he's coming out next year. So go talk to Billy Bob. And you're like, but I hate Billy Bob's work. Well, we do too. That's why we're sending you there.
Nice. Well, I appreciate you guys coming tonight and sharing your knowledge with us. We'll do one quick more shout out here. Of course, we are talking now about Cthulhu Invades Neverland. It's over on Kickstarter right now. We're trying to get that to $4.91. Let me see if I can refresh it. I'll do anything. And if we do that, Travis is going to shave his head, shave his beard, do everything. So we still need one more. People, if you're out there in internet land, please jump on this project. Looks terrific. And again, I just want to congratulate you guys on the success of the anthology. It's a good one, man. Well done.
Thank you. Yeah, we're super proud of it.
Thanks, man.
You should be.
It's going to be a cool book. I'm excited for people to get to see the whole thing. I haven't got to see the whole thing yet, but what I've gotten to see, like from the Facebook group, and then from like some people showing me stuff, like everybody, all these backers, potential backers, if you're sitting out there, I know there's 7 days. I know we're going to get that little bump in the last 48. If you're sitting on the fence right now, you're going to be very pleasantly surprised with the amalgamation of content that you get from this anthology. Art of all kinds, style dripping for days, really great stories, really intense stories. Some are soft and squishy. Some are hard and fierce. Some are a little creepy. It's got something for everybody. I really encourage people to check this out.
All right, so we're going to give Blake the last word. Check it out. Cthulhu Invades Neverland, live on Kickstarter right now. And to the viewers at home, thanks for watching The Creative Cranium. I appreciate you checking it out, and we'll see you guys next week. Good night, everybody.
Thanks, Tim. Bye.